Good afternoon, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Yay! I am. It's a warm day. It's really still. It's actually a little bit muggy, but it's the get comfy. It's the perfect day for getting on with a few smaller jobs today. I've just realised it's that distracting. It's my garlic. I should have been saying good morning to you, but oh my goodness, a couple of hours has whizzed by already. It's just one of those days, and you get that kind of vibe on these kind of days where there's loads of folk down, there's a few folk I haven't seen for a few days, in some cases a couple of weeks, so we're all kind of just going slowly, catching up, having a little wander to each other's plots to see how we're all doing. There has been masses of plant swapping, seed swapping going on today. It's fantastic. I mean, literally, the site has been ringing out with the sound of people saying, "Do you need any spare? Whatever's. Has anyone got any seed for?" Whatever. It's great. So, for example, my cucumber seed has gone to 2 neighbours this way, possibly another neighbour that way. Tomato plants have been going flying. Someone was just asking me if I needed any more purple sprouting broccoli. There's been some bean exchanges. It's great. It's really, really lovely. And it's one of those days where I've got quite a long to-do list, but it just feels like one of those moments in time to say, you know what, just relish this moment, just be in the moment. I've often said it, but I really, really am lucky with the site I'm on. It's so warm and friendly and just full of really beautiful, caring souls. Whether it's to share a conversation or to share seedlings, share admiration of each other's gardens. It's lovely. So yes, I haven't got much done so far, but I'm going to crack on with things now. So today, I think I might call this video "Here I Sow Again." Here I sow again. Da, 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 da. Oh, what's that from? It doesn't matter. Yes, I'm going to resow my carrots. I'm going to resow a few parsnips. I'm going to be resowing my brassicas, resowing some climbing beans, resow. The point is this, you know, it doesn't matter how long you've been gardening, it doesn't matter how fantastic a year you had last year, pretty much every year for every gardener is the same, in so much as there will be that one thing that you need to resow. Either because you didn't get any germination the first time, or your lovely little seedlings came up and they were wiped out overnight by slugs or pigeons in the case of the brassicas for a lot of people on site this year. So, if this is your first or second year, to all of us anyway, don't be too disheartened and despondent by lack of germination, for example, or plants being destroyed. I know it's horrible when everything gets destroyed by slugs. All of us, pretty much every year, have to re-sow something. It's par for the course. Fortunately, we're just at the beginning of June, so the things I want to do today, carrots and parsnips and brassicas, that's fine. I've still got plenty of time with them because they're all winter crops for me. If you're looking at resowing things like squash, cucumbers, which is happening on my site quite a lot today, again, don't worry too much because we're warm enough that this should get going pretty quickly. We've got a lot of daylight hours at the moment. We still haven't reached the longest day. So yeah, they should have enough daylight hours, enough warmth to really just race away once they get going. So yeah, resow those things too if needs be. Then, oh my goodness, there's so much on the list at the moment. I've given myself a list of essentially little jobs. Some of them may take me a long time, but they're little in terms of the physical effort required to do them. So without further ado, let's start in the carrot bed, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So the carrot bed was where I'd done my lovely NHS sort of parterre design that I was trying to get the carrots to grow in. I'm not going to bother now. It's not so much that sowing them in those letters didn't work as they've either just not germinated, could have been a hinky packet, or they germinated, I wasn't here for 5 or 6 days to water them, they dried to a crisp and died. And just on that, no, what was I going to say? Parsnips. So, remember when I was originally sowing my parsnips, I said I thought I'd bought some and then realised I hadn't, but fortunately a friend gave me those white gem to try. Well, I had bought some. I knew I had from the seed cooperative, my good old Tender and True. Plus I found some Autumn King that I bought from the seed cooperative. So I will be using those to resow with today. In the parsnip bed I won't be resowing the whole row because there's quite a few up. What's great is now that quite a few are up, I can see where the gaps are and just pop a few more in the gaps. Right, come on, let's go sow again. So, literally, every bit of green you can see in this bed is weeds. So I thought I'm just going to... The surface is also where I've been watering. It's really compacted. Let's bring this bucket. So I thought I will chop the weeds out with the rake, and that will help to just break up this crusty soil a bit too. Oh well. It was fun to try. And then what I'll do is, once I've weeded, broken up the surface a bit, give it a really good soak, get a little bit of fresh compost on the top, soak that too, and then sprinkle. There's a few calendula, they're staying. Come on, you little one, out you come. Anyway, yeah, that's the plan. I might actually need my trowel for these, I'm not sure, thistles or dandelions or something. Gosh, it's really compacted already. Hopefully, if I've got the whole bed covered with a bit of compost, it won't compact quite so badly. I've been saving a couple of bags of compost specifically for this bed. Also for when I take the broad beans out and put brassicas in, that I am also going to use the compost as a mulch on, just to try and stop the worst of this compaction. Actually, troweling them out is easier. So let's trowel them out and then rake for a bit of a break up. All of these little annuals will go in the compost bin. Okay, let me get on with this. You all can go whooply, and have an early cup of tea. Off you go. Bed's ready. It's had a good wetting. I'm going to try something a little bit different with this sowing. So I'm going to go back to straight-ish rows. Partly that will help me see exactly where they're supposed to be coming up, and I can tackle the weeds a little bit earlier if necessary. Partly it's for speed. But what I'm going to try now, excuse me, I gave the soil underneath the soaking, I've given the compost a bit of a wetting, and I thought, well, I'm going to try these rather like I do my lentils and some of the flowers. Just going to give them a little gentle scratching rather than, you know, my usual drills that I then cover. Who knows? Whoopla, that might be a bit deep. Hopefully they'll find their way out. I did have spring onions originally in this end, or at least I sowed them. They didn't come up either. I'm not bothering for this year. They had their chance, they missed it. Right, and now, very importantly, cover's back on. It's so humid today. I'm really, I'm really feeling it already. The leeks at this very end, a few have come up. I'm not going to bother covering them because we're beyond the previous allium leaf miner laying of April and May, March, April, and I'll have them out and eat them before the next laying in October, November. Okay, next, parsnips. The great thing about reseeding the parsnip bed is they're very clear where they have germinated. Actually, the worst of the germination is towards that end. I don't know why. The other day in the tour, I was showing you there were some random tomatoes in here. Apart from this one, I've taken the ones out that were in the rows because they were right next to parsnips, and I've got plenty of tomatoes, fingers crossed. So rather than yank them out and disturb these newly, delicately forming little roots, I've snipped them. I have left the two that were in the calendula though. So, like I say, it's great. I can see where they've all come up. Generally, you want your parsnips about 10 centimetres apart. So what I'll do, I will sow these every 10 centimetres where there are gaps. And what I'll do is I'll sow probably 3 or 4 seeds in each little sowing station. 2 reasons. One, I've got a load of seed here. This is the ones I bought from the seed cooperative that I totally forgot about. So I've got plenty here. They'll be no good for next year, so I might as well just get them all in. So a little bunch of them in per station, and then hopefully of each little bunch at least one germinates. If more than one germinates, I'll simply snip any extras away. So for example, am I sitting on an ant? I think I just sat on an ant. Sort of here and here, you see that? I'm not even gonna, it's not about giving them a whole amount of depth. It's just so I can give them a light covering. Oh, that was very generous. It's about 7 in there. So yeah, and with these I'm putting in now, just make sure I keep them moist over the next few days. They can take up to 3 weeks to germinate. So where are we? Beginning of June. I would say that if by the end of June there's nothing showing in any of these bits, That probably means I am not going to get any more parsnips than we can currently see, in which case I'll just shove something else in this space. Something like some more salad leaves, that sort of thing. Something that's kind of quick, that's not going to have a big root system that's going to impact on the parsnips. Yay! Good. It's definitely a day for getting on with all these little fiddly jobs and having I think someone's dismantling a shed. I was going to say, and having some nice quiet time with one's plot neighbours. Right, well, this is going to take me a little while, so yet again, I think it's time for you all to go and have a cup of tea. You're going to have lots of cups of tea today, I think. This is definitely the latest that I've ever done a direct sowing of my climbing beans. But it's one of those years. My attitude is in for a penny, in for a pound. Like I was mentioning the other day, I always save more seed than I need, so why not? It might happen. So what I'm thinking is, most of my climbers, they're still on the deck. Put a few where they're going to go. The worst hit were the Cocoa Sophie, and I really wanted lots of them, so that's what I'm going to sow today. The rest of them, I'm not going to bother with any other direct sowings, because what's come up from the ones I did in pots, I think it was the very first week of May, or it might have just been right at the end of April. Anyway, everything else came up fine and hasn't been attacked. So I'm just going to do it with the Cocoa Sophie. And what I thought I'd do, because I have actually got enough climbers for at least one per pole through the whole garden. There will eventually be 48 poles, but I normally like to have 2 per pole to give me 96 plants, which is plenty beans for me. So, with the ones that I plant, obviously I'm going to be planting them. Can you see that space there? I've got a few inches between the path and the poles. So with the Cocoa Sophie, I thought, well, if I sow them bang on next to the pole and nothing comes up, well, I've still got a space in front to plant, and I can plant in front anyway, and then if the ones by the poles do come up, the more the merrier. Oh, that was the wrong position for my knee. And normally, like I said, I do 2 per pole, and then I do backups on the deck. I'm actually going to do 3 per pole. Just because it is so late. Oh. And because I've got so much spare seed, why not? Hopefully at least 1 or 2 will work. Oh, great big clods of concrete still. I'm just popping them in, inch or so down. The great thing is doing it now, of course, the soil is warm. So, in theory, they ought to be able to get away okay. The main thing now, bum shuffle, the main thing, of course, is just making sure that I keep this ground moist, because flies in my face. It's bone dry. It's bone dry. I've mentioned it a few times that there is moisture down there, but you've got to go down a pretty far way to find that moisture. Bum shuffling. Oh, side of the path collapsed. Oops. Yeah. There is moisture down there, and that's fine for established plants like the broad beans. If I've been bitten by another ant, broad beans, the spuds, they're all able to find it. But of course the seeds are just sitting in the top inch or so of the soil, and they've got no chance unless I intervene and do some watering. because we've had that rain, a little bit of rain. Oh my goodness, the sun's coming out again. It's so beautiful. The spotlight from the heavens. Because we had the rain over the weekend, it wasn't masses, but it was on and off. We had a bit on Friday, a bit on Saturday, a bit on Sunday. This is one of those occasions where you come to the garden a couple of days later, on first glance it looks really, really, really dry again. However, that can be deceptive. I think particularly so with my soil, because it always looks so horrid when it's dry. So pretty much in most beds, what I'll do is I'll just put either my dibber or my trowel or my finger or whatever down into the soil and just see how far down I have to go before I hit moisture. And thinking about that, I can think about how much watering I want to do. So for example, the seed beds, if water's that far down, I know I need to water the seed beds, but if it's that far down, I probably don't need to water the tomatoes today. So yeah, that's something we should all bear in mind, is even on those days when everything looks bonio dry, it may not be when you go down a bit further. Okay, I was just about to say, what's the next job? But I think the next job might be to just sit here in the sunshine like a kitty. Wash myself for a little while. Yeah, it's definitely a day to make the most of it. I know it doesn't look fiercely hot today, but it's muggy. So I'm just doing another really lovely, quiet, sit-down job. Getting my rock labels ready. All the squash I planted out, they've all got a little lolly stick label. However, I've already forgotten what I've planted where. So I'm going to do these quickly now before the lolly sticks either fade or rot. Cream of the crop. The reason I started doing my labels on rocks, was it 2-3 years ago? Firstly, the foxes don't nick them. When I use the little wooden labels, either lolly sticks or whatever, the foxes are just having them all out. Now, generally, I know what I've planted where, as in, I know that's a squash plant, of course I do, but it's knowing the different varieties, especially when I'm trying new things. I like to have a label, so if it works really well, I think, brilliant, I'll do that one again. So, yeah, the rocks are great because the foxes don't bother them. If I had a gaggle of kids around me, I might get them to decorate them with pictures of the veggies. I'd still have to write the varieties on there, of course. And I nicked this idea from the Gertrude Jekyll garden on Holy Island in Northumberland. Lovely idea. So butternut, cream of the crop, loofah. What else have I planted? Oh, I know, yeah. So that was last year's Violina. I don't have any this year. So this can be the label for Jack B. Little. That's the Sarah Raven. Sorry, I'm not very good at multitasking, as in writing and talking. Jack B. Little. Yeah, it's the Sarah Raven seeds that were given to me. I'm sorry, I can't remember by whom, without looking in my notebook, which I don't have. Having had everything under cloches, fleeces, etc. for a few days, they're all now out and everything looks okay, both in terms of not being damaged by the hail, not getting too cold, and, hurrah, looks like no slug damage. Okay, so I've got a lot of labels to do. I'm going to sneeze as the sun comes out. Excuse me. Excuse me. Beg your pardon. Ooh, bright lights. So you can probably also see on the table I've got my really sorry brassica seedlings this year. Really rubbish germination. This is the worst germination I've ever had. I did have more germinate, but that have been eaten. But even if the ones that had been eaten hadn't been eaten, it would still be rubbish. I don't quite know why, to be honest. There's a number of new seed companies I've tried. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's just a bit of bad luck in timing, quite what. But I'll be resowing most of these. Well, all the ones that are here, I will pop them on into larger pots with my very handy pricking out tool, teaspoon, and then prick out these lovely cavolineros from the girls next door. That's their spares. It's fantastic. This is definitely the year of sharing and sparing. Sharing the spares. It's brilliant. Okay, so let me get stuck in with my rock labels, then my pricking out, then repeat sowing these. Well, I think I'm going to repeat sow everything. If I don't get time, I will certainly do concentrate on broccoli and cabbages, because I've got 1 cabbage, 2 broccoli. It's not enough. Let me get on with that and then we can reconvene. That's another very long afternoon coming to a close. Normally, well, quite often I would say, I don't know where time's gone. I do today, apart from all the little jobs. It's gone on time spent with friends here, swapping our plants, sharing our spares, swapping seeds, generally catching up with each other and like I was saying earlier, there are some folk I haven't seen for actually quite a few weeks where they've been shielding. So it's definitely been an afternoon for reconnecting and retying those bonds we have with each other. It's so lovely. And I think it's really important to have days like today, you know, as much as possible, whereby we're in the gardens, we are being productive, we're getting the work done, but we don't put time limits on ourselves. We don't rush the jobs. If we're in the middle of a job and a friend turns up that we haven't seen for ages, well, you know what? That job can wait a bit. That friend who hasn't been seen for a while is far more important than any seed. The seeds are important too, of course. But yes, it's been just sublime. I think partly that lovely, lovely warm feeling inside from rebonding. Partly the kind of the warmth of the day. It really is humid today. There's something about it. I just now feel like I could go to sleep. So I think I've got quite a bit of tidying up to do. Oops. Yeah, I think I should probably say cheerio to you all now. Get my tidying up done. Get myself home before dark. Ignore the housework when I get in. Draw a lovely long bath for myself. Wallow straight to bed. And I should sleep. I was going to say like a baby, but sleep like a cat in my own shed. Yes, so it's cheerio for now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in the garden again today. It always makes it just that bit more special. I think next time you see me... yes. I'm going to be doing some harvesting next time you see me. So join me then for a bit of harvesting, a bit of taking some plants out and putting some new plants in. It never ends, does it? It's great. Until then, please look after yourselves, look after each other, and just immerse yourself in the loveliness of your gardens. Don't rush. Bye for now.